Everyone wants to teach you how to make $10,000 a month in your 20s, but the problem is misinformation. How do you know what is actually going to work? Now, right away, I want to say I won't be sharing the same advice that you get from all the other gurus on social media. I'm not going to tell you to start a social media agency or try some mad side hustle. I'm going to share a proven strategy that actually works. I call it the unusual agency method. This framework allows you to get started quickly, make money almost right away, and without already having a social media following or even a website for that matter. I've used this personally multiple times over the last 10 years, and I've helped many others make profit every single month with it. So in this video, I will explain the $10,000 a month advice you should avoid, what is an unusual agency, and the framework you must follow to build one, and the secret strategy I use to hire good and cheap freelancers. If you want to be successful with the unusual agency method, the first thing you need is the right vehicle. You need a Lamborghini, not a slow, rusty, old Golf. No, I'm not actually talking about cars. What I mean by this is a business that can actually get you to $10,000 a month. Because although people paint this beautiful picture of how you can make $10,000 a month, the reality ends up being very different. Don't get me wrong, I was making $10,000 a month by the time I was 23, and this gave me freedom to travel and live life on my terms. I'm not saying this to brag, I say this so you know it's genuine advice from someone who has actually been there and done it. I can tell you this is the best thing I ever did, and it made my 20s way more exciting than my friends who were just working traditional jobs. But the problem is, you hear a lot of people online telling you to get financial and location freedom by starting a social media marketing agency or an ads agency. But this is actually bad advice. Why? For two reasons. First, those telling you to start a social media marketing agency are not making money themselves from such an agency. They are making money teaching you how to start a marketing agency. You don't need me to explain why this is bad, right? The second reason is because everyone else is also building a social media marketing agency because they're all watching the same videos and following the same advice. This is like starting a race when there are already hundreds of people 10 kilometers ahead of you. You're better off taking a motorbike. And don't even get me started on the whole crypto trading or start investing young thing. Taking $1,000 and attempting to trade your way to $10,000 a month is almost impossible. If you're making less than $10,000 a month, just forget all about investing for now. That's for later in your journey. Instead, taking a few dollars to build a website and grow an unusual agency to $10,000 a month has a much higher chance of success. You're probably not going to make $200,000 in your first year and be driving around in a Rolls Royce, but you should be making a lot more than your friends working traditional 9-to-5 jobs. So, what do I mean by an unusual agency? And just quickly, one of the most important aspects of being successful with an unusual agency is sales. You have to be able to sell your service. I'm opening up 5 slots to work with people who want to become sales experts. There's a link in the description for more information. The reason unusual agencies are so lucrative is because they are designed to generate cash flow. When you do it right, they pay you a lot of money every single month. How? Because they take advantage of a magic money-making rule. Find an industry that has the money to pay you and an urgent problem they need you to solve. The idea behind an unusual agency is to create something very niche with minimal competition. In other words, instead of running a race miles behind everybody else, you create your own race where you're only competing against yourself. But there's a common mistake when building an unusual agency you have to make sure that you avoid at all costs. I'm speaking from experience here. When I first started my agency, I focused too heavily on volume. But when I switched to selling to less clients but for much higher retainers, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month, it made life so much easier. So when you start your unusual agency, make sure it create something that carries a high ticket price. That way you make more money with less stress. This will also let you grow the business to a stage where you can hire people. But don't go hiring people where you live. If you're in the USA, the UK, for example, you need to use something called freelancer arbitrage. In simple terms, this means hiring freelancers from another country where a good salary is less than in your country, i.e. hiring freelancers from South America, India, Philippines, where a great wage or a great day rate is much lower than in the country where your clients are based. Now, this won't get you Lamborghini money or $100 million in the bank, but it will get you financial and location freedom. It will act as the first building block in your business journey. Now, maybe you're still not convinced. This is the best way to make $10,000 a month in your 20s, but trust me, you don't want to build the next Facebook or something like that. I did that at 22 and realized it was a huge mistake. I was miserable. I had to raise money from investors. We paid all these developers and the company was making money, but it wasn't giving me cash flow. I couldn't just take that money and go travel around the world and do what I wanted to do. So from experience, an unusual agency is your best bet. Okay, so now you have an overview of the elements that make up an unusual agency. Let's dive into the framework itself so that you can create your own. There are 3 pillars to success when creating these unusual agencies. So the first pillar is a problem. Let's take YouTube as that's the platform that we are on. There is an endless list of people who have created video editing agencies, thumbnail agencies, shorts agencies, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they are not unusual. What other problems do people have on this platform? One that jumps out at me is scripting. I've experienced this problem myself. Writing a great YouTube video is hard. I've spent hours on this video alone. On top of that, whatever you're writing, you need to have the script edited. Having looked myself, I can't find anyone running a script writing agency for YouTube. Now you have a problem and an industry for your unusual agency. But you might be thinking, okay, I've found some problems, but I don't know how to solve these problems yet. Well, the great thing is you can learn, especially now with the internet being the way it is. There is so much free information available that you can acquire a new skill and make money from it within a matter of months. So get out there and get studying and do the first few jobs for free. Make sure you can do it before you charge and then raise your prices from there. I did exactly this. I offered my services for a really cheap price when I first started, and that just helped me get my reps in. So now that you have your problem to solve, the next step is to niche down even more. And this is the second pillar. So get more specific. To make your agency truly unusual and even more profitable, you can sell your services to a specific segment of that market. So as an example, I found a lady on Twitter who writes YouTube scripts for people who are already popular on Twitter, or X if anyone really calls it that now. That's super specific and unusual. What Marjorie has done is create a category of one. Is she the only person writing YouTube scripts for people who are already popular on Twitter? Yes. And this sets her apart from everybody else. Marjorie has created an unusual agency. And now on to the third and final pillar, marketing. How are you going to get clients? Well, this is the other thing I love about the unusual agency framework. It's much easier to get clients. You don't need a really fancy website or a huge social media following. Often you don't need a website at all. You can do this with a very small following. Personally, I think Twitter is the place to do this because it doesn't require the same time commitment as YouTube, for example, to get the ball rolling. It's quick to get started, and you can even DM potential prospects and get responses and drive leads that way. This is just one of the many reasons the unusual agency is a realistic and achievable way for you to get financial and location freedom. But let me know if you agree or not in the comments down below. I'd love to know what you think and if you have any other questions about this framework. But even if you're not 100% convinced, I know something that will change your mind. And if you are already convinced, then this is the next step in your journey to $10,000 a month. Starting a Twitter following is simple, but only if you know the right steps and the common mistakes to avoid. That's why I made this next video, so that you can avoid all the pain and reap the financial benefits of a thriving social media presence.